Right, good morning, year two. Happy Wednesday, halfway through the week. I hope you are all well and really settled into being at home. So, carrying on with Flat Stanley, but first let's have a little starter. So yesterday, I asked you to spell those different words with the I sound in. Today, I want you to spell these words with the air sound in. But obviously some of the words are spelled differently compared to others. So you've got chair, dare, tear, and scare. Okay, different air sounds for the different words. Give it a go. Pause the video, write those 4 words. Okay, so the chair, hopefully we got A, I, R. The dare, we got A, R, E. The tear, we got E, A, R. And for scare, A, R, E. Okay, give yourselves a pat on the back if you got those. If you didn't, don't worry. This is one of the harder sounds, especially something like tear, because it also looks like tear. So don't worry about that. Right, on to Flat Stanley. Okay, so he's flying in the sky as a kite and he's loving life. Okay, please remember that retrieval skill that we've been using, taking the answer from the text. We'll go over it again in a bit. So, after a while, of course, people grew tired of watching, and Arthur got tired of running about with the empty spool. Stanley went right on, though, showing off. 3 boys came up to Arthur and invited him to join them for a hot dog and some soda pop. Arthur left the spool wedged in the fork of a tree. He did not notice, while he was eating the hot dog, that the wind was blowing the string and tangling it about the tree. The string got shorter and shorter, but Stanley did not realize how low he was until leaves brushed his feet, and then it was too late. He got stuck in the branches. 15 minutes passed before Arthur and the other boys heard his cries and climbed up to set him free. Stanley would not speak to his brother that evening, and at bedtime, even though Arthur had apologized, he was still cross. Alone with Mr. Lambchop in the living room, Mrs. Lambchop sighed and shook her head. "You're at the office all day having fun," she said. "You don't realize what I go through with the boys. They're very difficult." "Kids are like that," Mr. Lambchop said. "Phases. Be patient, dear." Okay, so that is our section for today. Oh dear. It's like Arthur and Stanley are having a bit of a falling out. So let's look at practice questions for today. What did Arthur go to do with the 3 boys? Now, to answer my retrieval questions, I have to use my 4 steps. Step number 1, do you remember what it is? Underline the key words. I'm going to get my pencil and go, what is he doing with the 3 boys? What does Arthur go to do with the 3 boys? Okay, so that's after I underline, I need to find. So I'm going to go across. Where does it talk about 3 boys? I remember reading it. Here, 3 boys. So now I'm going to read around it. 3 boys came up to Arthur and invited him to join them for a hot dog and some soda pop. Soda pop is like Coca-Cola. Okay, so I've read around, I underlined, I find, I read around. Now I can write because I know what he went to go do with them. That was to have a hot dog and some soda. Okay, next one. Stanley was stuck in the tree for 15 minutes. True or false? Now, just because it's a true or false doesn't mean we can't follow the same rules. Okay, so I'm going to underline 15 minutes. Where does it talk about him doing something for 15 minutes? I'm going to do. Using my skimming finger, 15. So I'm going to read around it. He got stuck in the branches, so he's stuck in the tree. 15 minutes passed before Arthur and the boys heard his cries. So I underlined, then I read around. Now I can answer the question, was he stuck in the tree for 15 minutes? Yes, he was. It is true. Okay, right, here are your questions for today. You can pause the video here, go have a go at these, and then I'm going to scroll down so you can see the rest of the questions. Okay, so make sure you've got those questions down. And then here are your other questions for today. Again, pause the video, have a go at them, and then we'll go through the answers. Okay then, hopefully you've had a go at all those questions, or as many as you could. So now let's go through them. Why do you think people grew tired of watching Stanley? Now this is a think one, so the answer is not going to be directly from the text, it's more you thinking about it. So Stanley's up in the air flying, and people just got a bit tired of it. Why do you think? Again, I can't tell you exactly the right answer, but they got bored. Pretty simple. Like, it's all the same. Once you see a boy flying in the sky, there's only so long before you're like, okay, I get it, he's flying. I'm going to move on with my day. Okay? So anything to do with they just got bored. They got a bit bored of it. What did the wind do to the string? So hopefully you underlined wind, and string. So I need to find out, excuse me, what the wind did to the string. So I'm going to use my skimming and find where it talks about the wind. And then hopefully there's string. Ah, yes. So now I can read around these words. The wind was blowing the string and tangling it about the tree. So hopefully I can now answer the question. What did the wind do to the string? Tangle it about a tree. Something along those lines. Next one. When did Stanley realize he was low? So I'm looking for stuff about him being low. I'm going to go back. Oh, realize and low. So now I'm going to read around. But Stanley did not realize how low he was until leaves brushed his feet. So now I underlined, I read around, now I can write my answer. Leaves brushed his feet. Anything along those lines about the leaves. Right. Why was Stanley not talking to Arthur? So I need to find out about why he was not talking to him. Then we go back. Let's see. Stanley would not speak. He's not doing it. Okay, so now I'm going to read around it. Stanley would not speak to his brother that evening, and at bedtime, even though Arthur apologized, he was still cross. Ooh, that sounds good. He wouldn't speak to him because he's cross. So why a question? So because he is cross. Anything along the lines of him being angry at Arthur. Right, let's go down. Where are Mr. and Mrs. Lambchop when they are alone? So this is a where question. So my answer needs to be a place. Mr. and Mrs. Lambchop when they are alone. So I'm going to go back and have a look. I'm looking for stuff about Mr. and Mrs. Lambchop. I remember that's at the end. Here's alone. Alone with Mr. Lambchop in the living room. So where were they? That's the name of a place. So I can put living room. Right. 4 boys invited Arthur to come with them? Well, I know we've already done a question about it. It wasn't 4 boys, it was actually 3. So hopefully you put false for this one. Stanley was angry with Arthur. Well, we already put that again as another answer. Yes, he's cross at him, so that has to be true. Mrs. Lambchop found the boys difficult. Oh, that isn't a question we've answered before. So let's see if Mrs. Lambchop finds the boys difficult. So we know it's around here because we've already established in the living room. Mrs. Lambchop sighed and shook her head. You're at the office all day having fun, she said. You don't realise what I go through with the boys. They're very difficult. Oh, so she does call the boys difficult. So that is true. Then last one, what does Mr. Lambchop tell Mrs. Lambchop to do? So I'm going to go back. Is telling her, so it has to be speech. So this is where Mr. Lambchop is speaking. Kids are like that. That's not really telling Mrs. Lambchop what to do. Phases, not really telling Mrs. Lambchop what to do. Be patient, dear. Oh, that's telling Mrs. Lambchop what to do. So the answer for the final question is down here. Be patient. Okay, so well done for doing that. Please send over your work to year2@thepalmeracademy.com. Have a lovely rest of the day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.